Just wanted to share one amazing thought based on the words of Rav Shimshon Pincus Zatzal. Sometimes you have a child that's waiting for camp to start already, and he's counting down the days, or a chassan kala waiting for the big day, and the only thing between them and the big day is that time that they wish they can get out of the way. And there's a fascinating pasuk that seems to be contradictory to this concept. Because the Torah says by Yaakov Avinu that Yaakov Avinu loved Rachel so much and he was waiting for the day to marry Rachel. V'haya ki yomim achadim ba'avasai oisa. The days went by so quickly. They were like short days because of his love for her. And the obvious question is, shouldn't the days have taken so much longer because of his love for her, because he wanted the day to come already? And Rav Shimshon Pincus says there's a very great difference over here. Yaakov Avinu understood that with Rachel Imenu, he would be building Klal Yisrael. And to build Klal Yisrael, he has to prepare himself for that great task and that great tafkid. Because of his great love for her and everything that would come by marrying her, the days were short because the task was great in preparation for that time to come. Because he knew that the day that he's waiting for, he needs to do a lot in order to get there, to be in the proper frame of mind, those days went by quickly. Sefiras Ha'Omer, says Rav Shimshon Pincus, has to be looked at in the same way. It's true that the Chinuch says the reason why we're counting is because we are longing for that great wedding day of Yom Chasunasai Zu Matan Torah. At the same time, the days of Sefiras Ha'Omer are meant to be days of building and preparation. Because when we realize the great tafkid that's ahead of us, of being makabel the Torah, then we look at every single day as an opportunity to prepare ourselves to be roi for that special, special time. The Yom Tov of Shavuos is called Shavuos. Why is the Yom Tov called weeks? And the answer is because the Yom Tov is an accumulation of all the weeks that went into coming to that Yom Tov. As opposed to Pesach, when the Avodah is Isarusa de La'ela, the inspiration from above, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Medaleg al Aharim Kaviyachol, that means that He took us and lifted us up on Pesach. When it comes to Shavuos, it's Isarusa de Lasata. That means it's the inspiration that's to come from within. That now is the time. We have 7 weeks to prepare ourselves. Each and every day of Sefiras Ha'Omer, a building block of another midah, of another avodah, to make ourselves roi for that glorious day of the wedding day, a kaviyachol of us and the Torah, of Hashem and us, that we'll be zeichet to together with all of Klal Yisrael. B'shah toiva u'metzlachas.
One of the primary expressions of Midas HaChesed is Ahava, is love. About Avram Avinu, Ish HaChesed, the paradigm of the Midah of Chesed, the pasuk states, Avram Oihavai, Avram, my beloved, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We find that Avram, Midas HaChesed, is related to the Midah of Ava, to love. It behooves us, therefore, in this week of Chesed, to think and to talk about Ava, and to understand if there's any tikkunim and rectifications that we can make in that aspect of our interpersonal relationships. In every loving relationship, there are 2 levels. In a relationship between parents and children, spouses, there's one level of love which can be defined, which has parameters, which can be intellectually understood. Why does a parent love his child? He may love his child because he gives to the child. That builds a feeling of love. He may love his child because he sees his child as being an extension of his identity, an expression and manifestation of who he is. But there's always a level that goes beyond. that when all of those factors are lacking and those factors are missing, the love remains. You ask a parent who doesn't have those two parameters, do you still love your child? If your child was in danger, would you not drop everything and run? And the answer is, of course I would. Why? And the answer necessarily must be, I don't know. There's a level to my love for my child that goes beyond, that transcends any sort of sophisticated understanding, any sort of intellectual attainment. Why do I love my child? Mi yodea. It transcends understanding. It goes beyond definition. And it's the same way with Klal Yisrael's relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Of course, on one level, why does Hashem love us? We give to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, kiviyachol. Baruch Elokeinu shebaranu l'chvoidai. Our very essence speaks of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's glory. After thousands of years of exile, we're still schlepping ourselves to shul. We're still shaking the lulav, lighting the menorah, eating matzah and maror on Pesach. Of course HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us. How could he not? But there must be a level which transcends. There must be a place where when a Jew sits to contemplate why HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves him, it reaches far beyond conditions. It's ava she'ena tului b'davar. That ultimately HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves me for a reason that I cannot grasp. When in our interpersonal relationships we get in touch with this deeper element, with this unconditional love, then we don't need to wait for conditions and for parameters to express that love. The love flows through us. This is what we find by Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu didn't wait for those in need to come to him in order for him to bestow upon them his chesed. Avram Avinu is running into the street looking, is there anybody I can help? Is there anybody to do chesed with? Avram Avinu is chesed shebechesed, gvura shebechesed, netzach shebechesed. Avram Avinu, ish chesed, runs out looking for someone to help because his love is ava she'enu tluya b'davar, is not waiting for conditions to be met. Avram Avinu's chesed is kayam la'ad. It's always on. It's always shining. You know, the Chacham seems very beautiful on the surface, but the tzaddikim teach that under the surface there's something missing. The Chacham wants to know all the halachic intricacies. The Chacham wants to know all the details of the Eitz Hadas, Toiv Ra, Kasher, Pasal, Tamei Tahar, Mutter, Aser. He wants to know all of the halachic details. And it's beautiful. But the answer that we tell the Chacham is Ein maftirin achar Pesach afikoimin. That the halacha states that after we eat the Karban Pesach, we don't eat anything. Because we need the taste of the Karban Pesach to linger in our mouths. We don't want anything to take away from the taste of the Karban Pesach. And we're telling the Chacham, yes, it's very beautiful to discover and to focus on the parameters of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But have you ever tasted Yiddishkeit? Have you ever tasted a davening? Have you ever tasted what it means to sit with the Black Gemara and not just learn it, but to sit with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Chacham, you're great, you're holy, you're exalted, but you need to learn the secret of taste. In this week of Chesed, let's allow ourselves to explore this deeper element in our interpersonal relationships. When we look at our children, at our spouse, at HaKadosh Baruch Hu, at ourselves, let's not focus on the parameters of love and the conditions of that love. Let's go deeper. And to understand that the love that I feel toward my child flows from the deepest essence of who I am. Not to look at the conditions of that love, whatever they may be, but to understand the taste of our relationship. To taste my marriage. To taste my parenthood. To taste my Yiddishkeit, my relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To be able to look my child in the eye and say, I don't love you because of X, Y, and Z. I love you because I love you. And that's the highest love there is. That's chesed shebechesed. That's a love that transcends any understanding, that touches the core of our essence of who we are. And that's a very, very important midah to work on in Mirz Hashem, this Sefira together.
My son David asked me yesterday, Daddy, what's going on? The Talmidim Rabbi Akiva died, 24,000 Talmidim died during the Yemei Sefira because Loi Nagu covered Zeh B'Zeh. They didn't have covered for each other. Rabbi Akiva was the Gadol Adar. How could that be? Was there a bullying problem in the yeshiva of Rabbi Akiva? I believe the answer is found in a Tosfos. Tosfos asks a question. We find many places in Shas that tell us that learning Torah Shalei Lishma is a terrible thing. Yet we all know the famous Chazal that tell us, Mitay Shalei Lishma Balishma. Don't worry about it. Just learn. Mitay Shalei Lishma Balishma. So what is it? Is Shalei Lishma acceptable or is Shalei Lishma not acceptable? Tosfos asks this question and Tosfos gives an answer. Tosfos tells us that learning for kavod or learning for money is acceptable. It's not great, But mitay shaloi lishma balishma. But learning lekantar, Taisva says, that is unacceptable. What does lekantar mean? I believe the answer is found in a medrash. Rabbi Kiva was talking to his talmidim, and he tells them, "Harishonim lo'mesu ela b'nei shahaya eineim tzara b'Torah zelazeh." My original talmidim, my first 24,000 talmidim died because they were stingy when it came to their Torah. Atem lo'tiru came. You should not be like that. Miyat amdu umalu kol eretz Yisrael Torah. These talmidim went out. Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, Reb Yosi, Reb Shimon, and Reb Elazar ben Shamua. The next 5 talmidim of Rabbi Kiva went out and were marbitz Torah, spread Torah through all of Klal Yisrael. Rabbi Akiva is giving the key of what happened to his first 24,000 talmidim. The first 24,000 talmidim were stingy when it came to Torah. Why would someone be stingy when it comes to Torah? Why wouldn't you teach someone else Torah? And the answer is that if you're learning lekantar, if you're learning to show that you're better than someone else, that is Torah that is unacceptable. That's Torah that is Torah that Hashem is not interested in. If you're learning for your own personal honor, that's b'diavad, that is okay. Not great, but mitay shaloi lishma balishma. But if you're learning to show that you're better than someone else, that's totally unacceptable. And that's why they would not teach each other. They weren't willing to give their Torah out to each other. Because if someone else knows the Torah that I know, then I'm not better than them. Now I would like to finish with the words of Reb Chaim Shmulevitz. Kach tzricha liyos gam demusa shel yeshiva. Al kol echad lachshay v'lidoy glizulase. Reb Chaim Shmulevitz says, it's imperative that when we're in a yeshiva, we are worried about our friend's success. Ki im yidad kol echad la'atzmoi, says Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, is all we worry is about ourselves and our own atzlacha. Ein zu yeshiva. Reb Chaim Shmulevitz says, that's not a yeshiva. And I implore each and every one of us during these Yimei Asfira that we go out and we make sure that we use our Torah and we celebrate with each other and we give our Torah one to another. We try to help each other get chavrusas in whatever way possible to make sure that our friends are being matzliach and learning. And if we're out of yeshiva, we make sure whatever we do, we can be marbitz Torah to each other. And this is the biggest way of showing the Rebbeinu Shalom that we appreciate the Torah, and that is the highest level of Torah Lishma.
He has another 12,000 Talmidim. He's giving Shiurim, becomes the greatest Rebbe in Klal Yisrael. All of a sudden, a mind-blowing tragedy. 24,000 Talmidim dead. Nagefa. Immeasurable loss and pain. To go into the mind of Rabbi Akiva and try to understand how he even processed that is impossible. And yet, he gets right back up and starts all over again. He has 5 Talmidim, one is Rosh Hashanah. Unbelievable amount of achievements and accomplishments that him and his wife fulfilled. Rabbi Akiva was, when the Romans asked for learning, he was giving shiurim in public. At the end of his life, his skin got combed away with iron combs, and he sang out Shema Yisrael. How? Unbelievable, awe-inspiring. Moshe Rabbeinu was given the task to take the Jews out of Mitzrayim, bring them to Kalish, bring them to Eretz Yisrael. How did Moshe Rabbeinu fulfill this? These Herculean, massive accomplishments. And look at us in our lives. We are charged with the Zerachrayas. We have neshamas, very important responsibility to carry. Neshamas comes with great privilege and responsibility. The Zerah of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We're living in a world of relentless distractions, in a world that tells us what's real is fake and what's fake is real. And it's hard for us to connect to this as the reality. And we need to become deeply connected Avdei Hashem, locked in Tevekas B'Hashem, Avodah, Amal B'Torah. We have a lot. It's very daunting, it's overwhelming. How can we do this? How can we accomplish great things with the same amount of serious nefesh and tremendous amount of accomplishments as well? We absolutely can, but how? I think that the answer lies in the beautiful mitzvah of Sefiras Ha'Omer. Sefiras Ha'Omer is a time where we have something called a tangible goal. But even more, it leads us to a mission. A mission is something very powerful. When we have a mission, the goals can be met, they can be measured against the mission. A mission is something that we're on fire. We understand, we're connected to it, it's communicated, we can communicate it, we understand it, and it's something that in a way is so clear and it's so important to us, and we're so sensitive to it, and we're so in tune with it, that alone carries us to be able to see it through. And I find it very fascinating, the chinuch, when explaining the mitzvah Sefiras Ha'Omer, he actually quotes the pasuk that goes back to the first time Moshe is charged with this great mission. And Hashem says, and they're by the burning bush, and Hashem says, Moshe, I've heard the suffering of my people, I want to take them out of Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu, I want you to be the shliach. Moshe Rabbeinu is beyond overwhelmed. He says, I can't do it. Mefarshim explain, he's scared of Paro. Paro won't listen to him. He's scared that he won't have his chus to be taken out. And he's scared that he himself can't do it. Hashem says to him two things. Two very powerful ideas. Number one, I believe, he tells him the idea of the mission. He says, I want you to go, and I understand that you're overwhelmed, but guess what? This is going to be an ice for you. That I sent you, I took you out of Mitzrayim. You're going to serve them on this very mountain. And I believe, and I think, this idea is that Hashem was saying, when you take me out of Mitzrayim, it's going to be another month and a half or something. You're going to come back to this very mountain. And I think it was a visual goal and a dream and an ice which he needed to curb his self-doubt. Because when a person has a mission and a visual place they're going to go back to, there's something about it that carries them there. And I believe that was the ice given to Hashem, given to Moshe from Hashem. But there's one more idea I'd like to close off with, and that is the very powerful idea of actually the first ice before that. Hashem gives him the ice of the burning bush. We're by the sneh right now, and the sneh is on fire. If it's on fire, it should be consumed. But Moshe Rabbeinu, you should understand, it's none of your business. Don't be concerned, because the laws of nature are none of your business, because when something has the mission of Hashem, then that changes everything. The sneh theoretically knew that it should have been burnt because it's on fire, it should be consumed. But the sneh said to itself, I'm not going to be burnt because my mission now is not to be burnt. Hashem didn't want to be burnt right now. Which means that all the rules of nature are gone when it comes to the mission of Hashem. A person wants to accomplish great things, they have to have a mission, they have to have tangible goals, and the goals should be measured against the mission. And when they're so connected to the mission, it's going to carry them there. And whenever they go through any difficulty, that mission is always going to be there for them. And eventually it will help them carry them to bring them through. But even more, just like Moshe Rabbeinu was told by Hashem, the first ice, which is the sneh, when a person realizes that the mission is the mission, when the mission becomes the mission of Hashem, there's no stopping us. We can achieve anything and everything, because the mission of Hashem does not have boundaries of nature.
We're holding the time of Sefiras Ha'Omer when we're counting from Yetzias Mitzrayim till Matan Torah. And the Chinuch says the reason for this is our anticipation for Kabbalas HaTorah. But the question, what does it have to do with the Omer? Sefiras Ha'Omer. On the second day of Pesach, you bring a carbon Omer. Now we're starting to count on the second day Pesach. If you're counting from Yetzias Mitzrayim, we should count from the first day Pesach. So I saw a beautiful shot. Now what's the point of the carbon Omer? The point of the carbon Omer is that we thank Hashem for the crops that we're given every year, that the crops grow. It happens to be that Pesach is the time of the ketziras, of the barley, the harvesting of the barley, and that's why we thank Hashem for the food. Now it's an amazing thing that the day we stopped eating man was the second day of Pesach. So we see there's a connection between the man, which was an Omer, and the Karban Ha'Omer, the Karban we bring the second day Pesach, which is also called an Omer. All minchas, you bring an Omer. It's a tenth of an ephah, a serious ephah. But the only one that's called an Omer is the minchas Omer that we bring on the second day Pesach. And why is that? Because it reminds us of the man. The man fell from Hashem. So we know that we had our sustenance, our parnasa from Hashem. But when we go into Eretz Yisrael and we plant, so then we think that our parnasa comes from our toil. It's not coming from Hashem. So Hashem says, no, you should bring the Omer, bring this amount of the man, and this will remind you that not only in the Midbar you're receiving parnasa from Hashem, so here also in Eretz Yisrael, your parnasa comes from Hashem. The reason that's very important is because that if a person doesn't realize that his parnasa is coming from Hashem, so then he thinks he has to toil and work, and he can't accept the yoke of Torah. The only way to accept the yoke of Torah is by realizing that his parnasa comes from Hashem. So there are two interesting things that we can point out about these karbanos. First of all, the tenufa. There's a big deal made out of the tenufa of the waving of the Karban Omer. Omer ha-tenufa. What does the waving represent? So the answer could be that the man was holy. It was food from Hashem. When we wave something, we're saying that we're being makdish. When a person eats food, l'shem shemayim, and he lives a life of kedusha, so he's makdish that food, even this lowly barley. That's donkey food. It's animal food, we're makdish it by our eating it. That's the tenufa. And another interesting thing, we count days and weeks. What do we have to count weeks? If you count the days, you can figure out the weeks. The answer may be because you're counting the days every day there was an Omer. But every week, on Friday, you received a double portion. So by counting the weeks, we're reminding ourselves again of the Omer that we received a double portion. And one other thought, that it says on the 16th day of Nisan, the second day Pesach, you bring a keves, you bring a lamb, and you bring a mincha, which is double isarim. It's the only mincha ever in the Chumash that for keves you bring 2 esronim. Why is that? It could be that's a reminder of the Erev Shabbos, that on Erev Shabbos we got twice a double portion of the Omer of the Sefiras Ha'Omer. So therefore, by bringing this Karban Mincha, it reminds us again of the Omer in the Midbar. So as this is a Zohar and a Medrash that compares this Karban Mincha, the Karban Omer, to the Man, to the Midbar. And the principle is to remind us that even when we go into Eretz Yisrael, the food is just like the Man. Hashem supplies us with our parnasa, supplies us our sustenance. So too, when we go into Eretz Yisrael and we do the toiling and the planting, the sustenance is coming from Hashem. Thank you.
Ashiru Hashem b'chayoy azamro lelokai v'oidi. I will sing to Hashem with my life. I will sing to Hashem b'odi. The ultimate song that we could sing to Hashem is not a song with our words. It's a song with our life. How do we live our life? Azamro lelokai v'oidi. I will sing to Hashem b'odi. My Rebbe Rabbi Freifeld Zeichet Tzaddik Lebracha explained Brody with my more, the greatest praise, the greatest thing that we could do for Hashem is by giving it all we got. Brody, more. This is how much I can do. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try to do more. That is what a Jew is all about. A Jew is not limited to this world, to what's normal and regular. We are Lamala Min HaTeva. When Bnei Yisrael were established as a nation in Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu could have just come. He was sent by Hashem. The time had come to save the Jewish people. Hashem could have just had Moshe come and say to Paro, let the Jewish people go, and Paro would have let them go. But no, everything was done with nisim, v'niflaos, with the makos, with the mon, with the kriyas yamsuf, with the anani covered. Every little step of establishing Klal Yisrael as a nation was l'mala min hateva, because Hashem wanted us to understand, you are l'mala min hateva. I'm establishing you with actions that are l'mala min hateva, because this is who you are. I want it to be ingrained in your brains, in your neshama, in your hearts, that you are l'mala min hateva in every aspect of your life. You are not limited, but Odi, with my more, I can give it more. When Klal Yisrael left Mitzrayim, so Hashem says, okay, I took you out of Mitzrayim, I took it was a gift, you weren't capable, you were in the Memte Sharei Tumah, you couldn't even groan and cry, and I took you out. But now you're walking to Har Sinai, and now I expect you to utilize the tremendous koiches that I gave you, the tremendous koiches of understanding that you were l'mala min hateva, that you could do more and more. You are not limited. We are now in the Yemei HaSfira. We are in the time where we are walking to Har Sinai. We're walking to Kabbalas the Torah, and Hashem wants us to recognize and to understand who we are, that we're l'mala min hateva. We are not limited. We have the ability to overcome. We have the ability to push forward. This is what's expected from us in every aspect of our life, in our learning, in our davening. Oh, how easy it is to be tired and not to get up for the minyan, or to be busy and not to go to daven, not to go to learn, or to be upset and to get angry. But we are l'mala min hateva. We are not limited. Don't function as a limited person, because it is so below who you are. You are a Jew, and you have the ability to rise above everything, and this is what Hashem expects from us. In Mitzvah Hashem, we should utilize this time and every day, make every day count, and to recognize and not to forget that we are l'mala min hateva. And in every act that we do, in every davening, in every encounter, in every person that we meet, to remember that I'm a yid, I'm l'mala min hateva, and to utilize that tremendous koyach that we have. Mitzvah Hashem, we should be zoiche to a tremendous Kabbalas Torah. Amen.